Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on energy efficiency. As you can see, the title is Your Lightning Will Save the World. Your light bulb will save the world. It's actually a funny thing for saying everybody has got superpowers with energy efficiency. It's a game with images and try to be funny just for serious stuff, which is energy efficiency is the best way to achieve the global climate change goal. And we someone has to mute the someone has to mute the microphone because we hear a very strong. Okay, thank you. So basically the question, the thing is that we have a very strong noise in the background. Please mute your microphone. And that the concept is that energy efficiency is the basic tool we have to achieve the Paris climate goal, because it's even more powerful than renewable energies, but it's not against renewable energies. Renewable energies and energy efficiency, they go together very well, and we'll see why and how. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to introduce myself and my organization. But first, I will start with a sentence, which is a very old say that says, "A penny saved is a penny earned." It's also valid for energy. Energy saved is energy earned. Any kilowatt you don't use is a kilowatt that you don't need, and so it's a kilowatt that does not harm the environment and does not harm the climate. Okay. Then, so where am I? Who am I? This is me, and a very big and professional picture that I've been taken from a friend of mine. And I am from Legambiente, which is an Italian NGO, and the biggest Italian NGO in terms of environmental protection. You can think of Legambiente as pretty much something like Friends of the Earth, if you have such an NGO in your country. We are working. We were born in 1980, and the mission of our association is the one of make the environment, the culture, the center of the new kind of development. We work on the sustainable development and well-being of people. We work on environmental qualities in cities, but we fight against all forms of pollution in the city, but we also work in the countryside, mountains, and for protection of biodiversity and keep an eye on natural resources. So we're pretty much dealing with all sort of environmental topics, and we do also direct action and citizen participation. And we do citizen science, we do volunteering, we do research studies, we do lobbying and advocacy, and I personally deal with this part and many other things. This is Italy. I will come from this area where it's now the mouse, like this, near Venice. You probably know the city of Venice, and I live nearby. Our organization is present in the whole country. It's got 115,000 members, of which 30,000 are students, and organizes a number of events and campaigns. And the biggest one is Clean Up the World, and is mobilizing around 1 million people every year in a weekend. We also manage some natural reserves and protected areas, and do volunteer work camps, and many other activities. Me, I am a professional advocacy consultant. I work for this NGO. I've been working for a long time, and I deal with international and national issues. As for energy efficiency, I work on refrigerant gases, which is also has to do with climate change, because they are powerful climate change gases. And then I do a lot of eco design and energy labeling advocacy. Actually, we will know what it is later on in the presentation. Basically, it's about eco design and energy efficiency at the domestic, like home level. what we will discuss today is that we talk about what is energy efficiency, what are the basic concepts of energy efficiency, and why it matters, why it's so important. You might wonder, is it necessary to explain? Yes, it is necessary to explain, because some people say, oh, it's not so important, it's more important renewable energies, or it's against renewable energies. And all right, I'll speak a little bit louder, sorry. So it's against energy, renewable energy. No, it's not against energy. Renewable energy goes together with, and we have many fields of application for energy efficiency. We'll go through them. And then there's a couple of models we have to study on how we apply policies on energy efficiency, and then some figures, some data, why it is so relevant at the European level, because I come from Europe, but we'll go to a wider perspective, like world level, and we'll go do some focuses on non-European countries, like in South American and Asian countries. And we'll talk about lighting also with the Enlighten project, which is a project from United Nations. And then the problems, why, if it is so useful, why is it so overlooked, so often overlooked? Why does this is not so, it's not our daily bread for policies at governmental level. And then I will go give it a few negative examples about energy efficiency, and then we'll make the conclusion, okay, right away. And then, of course, will be questions and answers from your side. So once again, please, everybody, mute your microphone, because okay, someone is at the classroom with the applause in class. Okay, with people clapping. So what is energy efficiency? Energy efficiency is the job of doing the same job with less energy. Basically, it's we do the same amount of economy, so same amount of production, but with less energy through innovation in technologies. Okay, so let's give an example. Imagine that you need to buy a water heater for your showers, because you don't like to take a cold showers, because maybe you live in a cold country, you need hot shower. Okay, so you're gonna buy a new water heater. This water heater is working on, say, electricity, okay, or gas, whatever. You have a certain amount of money per year that you can spend on the bills. Okay, so it's very small money. So if you buy a traditional water heater, you will buy, you know that you're going to be using this water heater only half of the days, and then because you don't have enough money to pay the bills. Okay, what can you do? Well, you have two options. The first option, which I would not suggest, is to buy the normal everyday average water heater, the older technology. And this means you take a shower, hot shower on odd days and a cold shower on even days, in order to stay in your balance and not go bankrupt. This is called energy saving, because you're not using potentially all the energy you could be using for if you're taking all the hot showers every day, you know, so you're saving energy, but it's not exactly what you want to. You don't want to take a cold shower either. So there's a second option, and it's you buy a more efficient water heater and that saves up to 50% of your energy. And so you use you take a warm shower every day the whole year long. And this is energy efficiency. See the difference? There you make you don't use energy. You use in the two cases you use the same amount of energy. In one case you do energy saving, but you take a cold shower, okay, because you're using a crappy technology. In the second option, you use an efficient technology. You take warm shower every day, and you use the same amount of energy. Okay, so you're doing the same. In this case, with the same energy, you do a much bigger work. Or if you prefer, if you take a cold shower every 2 days, you're gonna be like doing the same amount of work with less energy. I hope this is clear. If it's not clear, it's the right moment to say you don't understand, because this is a very basic concept. The megawatt is another interesting concept. Instead of producing a megawatt of energy, okay, you can save that amount of energy through technology innovations, and you create what is called a negawatt. It's the term that is indicating a theoretical unity of measurement of energy saved. It was created in 1984 by Emory Lovings, which was working in by the Rocky Mountain Institute. And he said, the customers don't want kilowatt hours of electricity. They want energy services such as hot showers, cold beer, lit rooms and spinning shaft, and which can come more cheaply if electricity is used in a more efficient way. If you have a megawatt of energy saved, you can also trade it with a little bit complicated white certificate secondary market, meaning that in some areas of the world, America and Europe especially, this energy efficiency is also a commodity you can trade. There's a stock exchange for this energy efficiency that is related to the ETS, emission trading system. So making efficiency can also be a good business from a financial wise guy. And the third concept I want to introduce here is energy intensity, which is the amount of energy that you need to make a $1 million gross domestic product. The better your efficiency, the least energy you will need to make money. Okay, so if you take 1 million as a measurement, okay, if you're a very efficient country, you use this energy. Okay, if you're not a very efficient country, you use that energy. Okay, so the less energy you have, the more you use for 1 million, the more you are technologically advanced. So you can see that on average, the annual rate of improving energy intensity, meaning that energy intensity goes down, is 1 to 2%. What does this mean? It means that overall, in our world, we are using less energy to do the same things we did before, and to do the same amount of economy to do before. How can this happen? Well, it's very simple. If I have a taxi and I'm a taxi driver and I'm running for, I don't know, 100,000 kilometers per year, okay, if I buy a new car that runs on less fuel, I will do the same amount of kilometers and the same amount of money, but I will spend less energy, in this case, less fuel. So I'm improving my intensity by lowering my intensity, energy intensity. So the global energy intensity fell by 1.8% in 2016. That means that in 50 years, we could be theoretically, if you go on like this, like using almost no energy to do what we're doing now, because if you multiply almost 2 by 50, you get to 100. So since 2008, the intensity has been declining on average rate of 2.1 per year. But careful, because China has played a major role here, because most of this data rely on the fact that China has made a giant leap in the energy intensity, because it decreased its energy intensity. Being China a very big energy user, that figure had a very big influence in the world figure, because without China, the figure would be plus 1.1 in 2016, which is very worrying. Another thing is that when we think of energy efficiency, we should not be forgetting about resource efficiency. When I do something, like actually manufacture a computer, or I don't know, maybe a chair, whatever good we were talking about, there's energy, of course, to produce it, like machinery to assemble it and to clean it and wash it and put together and whatever, okay? But there's also wood, plastic, metal, gold, silver, sometimes platinum, very valuable materials, okay? And water, a lot of water used most of the times. So actually, we will have to switch to a more global idea, which is the resource efficiency. It means not only doing more with less energy, but it's doing more with less resource. And so making more with less. It's called also material efficiency, okay? Not only resource efficiency. If you don't recover these resources at the end of the life, you're gonna need them, new ones, and use a lot of energy to produce new products. That's why it's so very important to have recycling of these materials. Recycling is a key issue for resource efficiency. Here is a picture of one specific mine, which is a mine in Africa, which is a mine of coltan. You're probably familiar with this name. Coltan is a specific material, a mineral, a metal actually, which is used in every smartphone, tablet, and computer in the world. Without this specific, very specific metal, we would not be having this conversation, okay? So it's very precious, it's very important. And a lot of people die and live in very bad life in this kind of open field mines in Africa. So what we need to do is to recycle them, so, and use less of them, of this material to produce the new smartphones. And even more, we need to have like a longer life smartphones and IT technology. So it's another issue is the gray energy. Think of photovoltaics. Photovoltaics panels, they are just great. They're a big revolution for renewable energies, but they have been long being criticized because it takes a lot of energy to produce actually a photovoltaic panel. Of course, now it takes much less energy than it used to take 30 years ago, but still it takes a lot of energy. It's called the gray energy, meaning that all the energy that is needed to produce a product, and it's embedded in the product. My shirt has an energy embedded because it took energy to produce it, okay? That's called gray energy. This product, every product has got a gray energy because you had to put energy to produce it, okay? So we have to be careful that we need to do things also with the least energy embedded in the product. How do we do that? We use recycled materials. If you use recycled material, especially in the case of tin, as for instance, you decrease the amount of energy you need for that product dramatically, at least by 10 times in the case of tin. What do we do? Apply energy efficiency. Well, energy efficiency can be applied to industrial production. Like, I don't know, we go to a factory where they use old machinery, old engines to produce some, I don't know, whatever goods like chairs or computers or whatever, and we change to fine-tune the situation in a way that they produce more things with less energy. But then we can also make efficiency in energy production, the power plants, or in distribution through the wires, you know, the distribution chains. Because maybe sometimes you have a power plant that is wasting the heat and only producing electricity. But if you recuperate that heat and you use it, as for instance, to warm a hospital or a school, you will no longer be needing oil or whatever fuel you're using to warm up the hospital or the school now. So you're gonna save energy. So you're doing more in efficiency. Then we have domestic consumption, which is what we're talking today, like a better fridge, a better television, a better computer, a better air conditioning machine, and whatever is in our homes. And of course, building and heating, you know, heating and cooling the building. Of course, the better the building, the less energy you will need to cool it down in summertime and warm it up in wintertime, which is the big consumption we have at domestic, at home level. And of course, transportation. An electric car is much more efficient than a conventional car because it uses almost 70 to 80% 90% of the energy, and in form of electricity, while in a normal car would just use at the best the 20% of the energy, which is in the fuel itself. The rest is heat that's being dispersed through the engine. So what kind of policies are there? We have a typical pool policy. A pool policy is a policy that I would say it's It's like the good cop and the bad cop, if you know what I mean. The pool policy is the good cop, saying that we make, typically, we have tax rebates or incentives for the people to buy better performing products. Or we have, as for instance, we might have we'll see the energy labeling. Energy labeling saying this product is an A+ product and this product is a C or D product. So me as a consumer, I can decide if I want to go for a more efficient or a less efficient. Okay, and this can be linked with some schemes of incentives. Some countries give you money if you buy to have a discount if you buy the good things, which they cost a little bit more. Okay, some other countries just give you a tax rebate and blah and so on. It's called a pool because it pulls the market up. So typically in Italy, there was this case 10 years ago or more, 15 years ago. There were some incentives for A-class fridge, and everybody when they had those who had to change their refrigerator, they went to the market and knew that if you could buy a better one, they could have some money from the state, and so they would just pay as much as they would pay for the crappy one, but they would just prefer to go to it. Even when the incentives were finished, I mean, everybody kept buying on the A level fridge. And so very quickly, the A level became the standard in the market, you know? Then there's another type of policies, which are the push policies. The push policy is the bad cop. What it means that every year you decide that there's a standard, there's a minimum standard of performance of these products to be on the market. Saying this, I don't know, refrigerator cannot consume more than 300 kilowatts per year, okay? Or this washing machine cannot use more than 500 kilowatt per year. Of course, they are tested on a standard use, okay? If your product does not comply, then your product will not be in my market. That applies to pretty much all markets in the world, many markets in the world. Europe started together with America. America's got the Energy Star, and we have the eco design policies, and it's called MEPS, minimum efficiency performance standard. These are very important, meaning you push away from the market, when they enter into force, they push away from the market the lowest performing products. And every year or every 2 years, you have a new standard, okay? So every 2 years, you push away the least performing appliances in the market. Of course, those who have it at home will keep on using it. But if you I'm sorry, my voice is low because I have a problem with my microphone. If you keep pushing away all the bad appliances, okay, this is good because in the end, you will only have every year you will have the average efficiency, so it will go just up, you know. So this happened in Europe, for instance. So by doing this, after 15 years we reached to a moment where we had only for washing machines and dishwashers and refrigerators, we had only A++ and A+ and A+ and A product. Okay, so you cannot possibly find in the market a B class product. It's very important, we'll say, that these MEPs are shared in all over the world, because else the company will just dump the least performing products into countries that are more easygoing, you know. So the people, the customers in those countries will just get the worst products. So what do labels, energy label, look like? Well, you see, most of the labels in the world, like in South America, Russia, China, and some part of of Africa, they are inspired by, they are built basically by upon the European energy labeling situation. And we have Australia and Indonesia and India and United States, they have labels, and also Mexico, they have labels on their own, different labels, okay? But the principle is the same. Distinguish between good and bad products. Well, I mean, meaning well-performing and not so well-performing products. But also the standards, which are very important, are spread out in the world. And you see that most of the countries that have standards, they build these standards, minimum standards, upon the European standards. The only exception being India, Pakistan, Iran, and US, North America, and Indonesia, and Japan too. Japan, they have their own standards. But this can mean that those standards, like in India, Japan, or the United States, can be higher or lower depending on the product. Okay, but normally the European one are quite high. So the idea is, if any part of the world sets a very high standard, sooner or later the other areas of the world will catch up. Okay, and because the producers, companies like, I don't know, Sony or Lenovo for computers or screens or televisions, for instance, or Hitachi or Samsung, for instance, for television, prefer to have just one line of production with a high level of quality that will just be performing in the most requiring market, and then sell the same quality all over the world, than having different quality production, okay, which is sometimes more complicated and costs more money. So they tend to have to push for a standardized level, okay, and normally this standardized level should be aligning with the highest performance, which can be US, can be Europe, can be China, depending on the product. And then also the testing methods also follow, because if you don't want to risk to be found non-compliant in that part of the world, I don't know, China, Japan, South America, because they have a stricter testing procedure. Okay, so you better have this one single test all over the world. It is the most difficult one to pass, and you adapt to the single testing method. So let's talk about how much energy efficiency is worth. Okay, European figures are quite interesting, because the goal of European effort the goal of European Union to go to decrease emissions by 20% in 2020, meaning in 3 years, it was relying on the 40% of this goal was relying on the target was relying on energy efficiency. So energy efficiency really played a major role in this. And it's going to be, and the goal is 40% of the new target at 2030. Okay. What this figure actually means? It means that as I told you, the goal of 2020 is 40% is made through energy equity, like this push and pull measures on final consumption, meaning the things we have, appliances we have at home, and we'll probably have like 40% of this target at 2030. We'll still not know, because it's being debated right now. It's about 56 millions of oils every year saved, and 480 terawatt hours of electricity, which is a huge amount of electricity, saved. Careful that this is very important, because this is free of charge. Nobody, the government put very little money in this, and private don't put any money in this. So you don't have to buy an renewable energy technology. You're just replacing your old appliances that's just broken with a new one. You don't even know that it's better performing, So with zero investment, or barely zero investment, you get these results. So energy efficiency is paying off very quickly, and it's got a very interesting payoff. And this equals to just shutting down 200 coal power station, like a large power station, like 500 megawatt power station, or just taking away from the roads 150 millions of cars for emissions. Okay, so I mean, this is huge. And again, the average home electricity bill was in 2013 in Europe was around 800 euros. Okay, in 2013. So the savings will be by 2020 more than 200 euros. So 1/4 of that, more than 1/4 of that money will be saved. Just simply for these norms. Okay, for the improving of the goods that we already buy. And in 2014, already just the lights were saving 20 euro per family every year, just for the rules of the new lightings and the standby, just small standby and lights. So actually, I mean, just like just the new heating rules, just like having some boilers and house heaters more efficient, will save on average 350 euros per house. When I say 350 euros, you can think of dollars. It's pretty much the same, okay? Just like it will be more in dollars, but I mean, it's pretty much the same, just like to have an idea, American dollars. And this also has brought, will bring actually in 2020, over 1 million more jobs in the world, of which 300,000 in Europe. Why 800,000 in the world? Because most of the appliances we use in Europe, they are not built in Europe, they are built in Asia. So basically, family savings in the world, energy efficiency gains since 2000, since we started having these MEPs and this energy labeling, saved around 300 billions in the world, and that's a world figure, that's yearly figure, okay, on additional spending in energy in 2016. So we were spending every year 300 billions more in energy if we didn't have these figures. Those are already in place, okay? And also large emerging economies such as China have had a very big advantage from this. Families would spend now 25% more energy than they do now if these rules were not introduced. And overall, we can say, me as for instance in Europe, I can say that my bill, electricity bill, would be the double of what is now, and I would be paying the double money if these rules would not be introduced. And most of the people just don't know, because I just bought new appliances and I didn't know they were more performant, but these rules applied at the government level just improve the products, and now thanks to this I'm paying half the money I would be paying if they weren't there. So what is the household energy expenditure savings due to energy improvement since 2000? Well, you see that in Germany is more than almost $600. In France it's almost 500. In United Kingdom is around 400. In Japan is around also a little bit less than 400. But in the United States a little bit, because these efficiency measures were a little bit less relevant. Also because US, they have like bigger appliances. But look at China, which has an interesting $60 saving per family, which is around 25, as you said, 25% saving. You can see that when you talk about Germany or France, it's around the 40% of the bill. Italy is not there, but Italy is around 50%. Okay, so even small countries who are not so developed as Germany, as for instance, they had a very interesting saving. On Mexico's 10%. So energy efficiency improvements of 10 to 20% are possible in most countries, from appliances, equipment, and lighting products that are already there in the market. and there's a strong momentum towards more efficient lighting that we'll talk about a little bit later. A little bit about this Enlighten project. And then there's a plan for, well, actually there's an estimate that says that by 2022, 90% of indoor lighting worldwide is expected to be provided by compact fluorescent lamps, CFLs, or light emitting diode, LEDs, which will just be a dramatic improvement of what is now, you know. So let's focus on one specific country, which is Indonesia, which is the largest consumer of energy in South Asia. And just implementing and enforcing current energy efficiency policies will reduce energy use by 2% by 2025. If they enhance a little bit these existing policies, they would reduce by 4.5%, almost 5%, their energy use. Okay, that means it's a big amount of energy because Indonesia is a big country, you know, and it's just like not having 13 new coal power plants, you know, and or just not having 10 millions of cars in the streets, just for, you know, applying these rules and just making it better. And switching to compact fluorescent light bulbs helped the government in the past years to make the consumers, Indonesian consumers, save 3.3 billions on their electricity bills in 2016. Now it's LED time, and Indonesian consumers can save up to $500 million per year by 2030. So I mean, it's quite a interesting economical perspective if we switch to LEDs, especially in these big countries, especially because this is very interesting in developing countries. India is a very interesting case, and you will see what more in detail. But also Chile. Chile is one of the best performing country in this Enlighten project, which is a project led by United Nations Environmental Program. You will find a link at the end of this presentation. And it's aiming to phase out all the incandescent lights. And they perform very well, and they want to switch the whole country to LED by 2020. And the benefits are there, because the transition away from efficient incandescent lamps will save Chile an estimated of $500 million each year in energy costs, which is like very large in terms of in energy and emissions. It's like 300,000 mid-sized cars taken away of the road every year. So similar transformation are taking place in across the globe. I mean, there's the West African States Community has established a framework to phase out inefficient incandescent light bulbs between 2016 and 2020, and they will save an estimate of over 200 million electricity costs for those consumers, you know. And the same partnership has been agreed in 8 countries in Central America. I'm talking about phasing out the incandescent lights, which is a technology which is 1 century old, because the incandescent light bulbs has not changed in 1 century. If you think of it, it was invented like this and still like this, just cheaper and crappier, because the first they were invented 1 century ago lasted much longer than those we have now in some of our homes. But improving standards doesn't mean higher price to purchase. Is it true that what they say that in a developing country people cannot afford good quality appliances, the best performing appliances? Well, apparently not. It's not, even though I put here a very scared housewife with a very performing ironing tool. No, it's better products sometimes mean lower prices. We have it here in Europe. I mean, if you go and buy a washing machine That washing machine, compared to your average salary, the average wage of a family, is not more spent. It's not costing more. It's costing less than it used to cost in the past. And so there's a study here. You can find it in the end of the presentation. There's a working paper from the Grantham Institute, and that says that much of the price decline is attributed to standards includes innovation. Meaning, if you put MEPs, companies have to invest in research and development. So they do innovation, and that innovation in the long run bring the price down. So it's a win-win situation, and it stimulates competition between manufacturers. So also that brings the price down. Then we have India. And then we're a little bit late, so we better rush up. So let's put like this 15 minutes more. India, here I got, let's put like Bollywood for India and a lot of lamp and lights, because we're talking about the lighting in India. India has done a very interesting project, which is a best practice and now worldwide, because the government decided to make a tender as a government for big quantities, like millions of LED lamps. Okay, at the same time, they would just directly head to the producers like Philips, Osram, and any or Chinese producers and say, okay, how much is the price for 25 million? You know, and of course they got a very low price, and then so they bought it, they secured it, and then they gave it to the small retail businesses. Okay, so they had these results. So by purchasing, like procuring at the central government level, LED are now sold at less than $1 for a normal LED, like an average 7-watt LED, which used to be like 50 or 60 watts incandescent lights. So you mean you can have what you had the previous like incandescent bulb light was probably pretty much the same price. Now it's have a sort of more higher price for LED, but it's very close. It's much cheaper than in Europe. And overall, 140,000 retail stores could profit from this project and sell LED, became a LED reseller. And you can buy the LED on a monthly base, paying little by little every month. So you don't need to buy upfront for poor families. And the daily saving estimates are just 52 gigawatts energy. And especially, this is very important because you shave the demand of energy goes up and down in the daytime, and especially in the morning when you wake up, and during the daytime the demand is high. But sometimes also in the night you have a demand due to lighting of the rooms. Okay, they shave the peak demand, meaning that you don't need to have so many power plants on in this moment. Okay, and by 3.8 gigawatts. It means that you can turn off those power plants, because some of these power plants are on just to meet the peak demand. Okay, if you shave the peak demand, you can just turn them off, and you can reduce very much that pollution. Okay, and the average consumption per lamp in India went down by 32%, which is impressive. And now I just put this kitten in just for no reason. But everybody loves kittens, so just to like we're going to if everything is so useful, so living because you have to reasons of some reluctant governments and some reluctant industries. We normally say that some appliances reach already the highest level of efficiency, that doing more will be very expensive, and doing that is getting more difficult. But it's been saying this for 15 years now, so might be not true. Maybe an effort to that. And say some performing products on the market, because they afford high quality products. So we sell both the bad and the bad, and the bad Okay, I'm back. I am back. Sorry for that. I don't know what happened. I just disconnected.
Okay, I receive you. It's good.
Okay, okay, great.
It's okay.
So can you actually see me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
I can see you.
okay.
It's okay.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Sorry for that. I had a problem with the line. Okay.
Okay.
So what I was going to say is that the industry says, why don't we keep like the good things and the bad things in the market so we can sell both? Okay, with the excuse that poor families will not be able to buy high quality products, but we have just seen the high quality in the long run doesn't mean higher price, and also there's many ways to sell the products, because the families could pay this higher price by the savings they have in the bills. You know what I mean? There's many ways to sell these products in the bills. So you can, by the energy you save, you get the money, and that money will pay the new appliance, the best performing appliance. So there's a lot of financial schemes that can be applied to this to help poor families to access to these high quality products. And then the market, they say the market will self-regulate. And small, for instance, self-appliances don't need mandatory standards. Why don't they? I mean, we'll have an example right now about the coffee machine. I mean, coffee machine, everybody say, well, I mean, it's not important. Coffee machine is like a small appliance in your house. It's not important as a refrigerator or a washing machine or air conditioner. You know, that those appliances are very big. They use a lot of energy. Why would we care about, I don't know, small appliances such as coffee machine? Well, we do, because we have a lot of small appliances in the home, especially, for instance, computers or telephones, like cell phones. And then they say, why do we care so much for energy when we should be focusing on resources? Then when you go to the table when discuss, let's make some resource efficiency. And they say, no. What would we care about resources? The most important thing is energy. You know, it's a loop. They just ping pong on this. And then they also say, why do we care about how much energy we use on these appliances? Or how much energy we put to produce actually the appliances? That should be the LCA, that's life cycle that we using, just like for delaying, and especially, which is the smartphone that we introduced smartphone. Yours, or sure, some of you have bought a smartphone that was very faulty when it comes to battery. Maybe the battery would just run off very quickly. How's that smartphone in the market in the first place? Why isn't there the government saying, no, you have to perform at least like this? It has to last at least half a day, or I don't know, this smartphone should be not wasting energy or whatever, you know. Or why is not there a label on the smartphone saying, okay, this, I don't know, this phone is A+ for energy efficiency, this phone is B. So I can have one extra information when I go and decide to buy a smartphone. It's not possible because the industry just put up a fight, and nobody ever could, so far, could win their opposition. Then you have the governments. This is the industry guy laughing at us. Then you have the government that says, well, the governments in developing countries say, we're poor. People cannot afford high-tech appliances. And we've just seen that it's not necessarily true. And then we have developed countries that say, we need to keep the variety in the market to allow consumers to make their own choice. We should not be taking the choice away from consumers. Okay, but then again, why then, are not, I don't know, in some countries you cannot buy a diesel car anymore. Now you have to buy only electric cars because diesel cars are polluting. So why doesn't it apply also for the appliances? And you don't let the consumers buy whatever thing. If you want to buy something which is, you know, is against the safety laws, because it could be just take fire and just explode. It's not really safe. It doesn't have a safe, it doesn't comply with the safety law. It's illegal to buy in the market. So why is it legal to buy a crappy product which consumes a lot of energy? So, and then the developing countries say, we don't have the resources to make the standards or to survey the market. And, but it takes little money because the standards are already there. You just need to copy them. And developed countries says it makes no sense to create standards unless it's international. Our companies are global. And yet, if you never start, you will never have a global international standard. So someone has to start. And everybody say that too much standardization will increase the cost of appliances. And you will see already this is not true. There's a study. So all the governments would like to the companies to make the standards. So let's say, let's leave the industry self-regulate themselves. And now let's see what happens when the industry self-regulates. The coffee machine case. In the past, last year, European Union has worked to prepare a minimum efficiency standard in the frame of eco-design to concentrate on the coffee machine. They had like this espresso Italian coffee machine, short coffees, like big energy in short time. And this American coffee machine, which like you have a jar, you have to keep it warm all the time, So little energy, but for longer time, they try to keep them together, this category. They want to go for a label, okay, and also for the minimum standard. But they want to get a label, okay. But then someone not very smart come up and say, oh, listen, but now we have this machine with these cups you put in, okay? And what about the energy for making the cups? You should be taking into consideration also the energy needed for the cups. And that was a very good move for the industry, because the industry say, yes, not only the cups, but also the coffee. Now, why don't we go for each and every production coffee field in the world and see how much energy is used in the field to produce the coffee? That would be the right perfect move. So that was impossible, of course. And that has killed that was the trick they used to kill the discussion, okay? And so these are the coffee cups that are so popular now. There's a brand by Nestlé, the big international corporation. It's called Nespresso, and it's becoming like the leader in the world for coffee machines. And this is this guy, you know him, I'm sure. And he is the Nespresso testimonial. He's been in advertising, the commercial everywhere in the world, in most countries. And of course, you guess what happened? They dropped the standard, and the bad guys won. What else? What else is the payoff, the claim he would have in the commercials? Are we talking about the minor fact here? No. Europeans consume around 2.4 million tons of coffee every year. It's over 400 billion cups. So we have like around more than 20 million coffee machines in our families. They are sold every year. They are sold every year in only European Union. And there's like the energy that could be saved just for having this small rules, okay? It's equals to the electricity used by all the homes of small countries like Ireland. The whole energy used by the Irish family is the amount of energy that can be saved if you just put this small rules for just the coffee machine in just Europe. Can you just imagine if we did this for hair dryers or ironing tools or you name it, okay? Or rice cookers in China, in Asia, okay? Just apply this ratio and you'll see how much energy you save. So, and also there's another case. The gaming console like Nintendo, Sega, or Xbox, that the kids, especially in rich countries, they love to use it, okay? That is taking up the consumption of your television up to 50% more, okay? It's a huge consumption, and but they didn't have time and research. The government say, okay, let's leave the companies do this. And of course, the companies are just an oligopoly, just 3 companies, okay? And these 3 companies, they just got together and say, okay, let's do like kind of light regulation. Basically, in this regulation, there were things they already applied. but they did the regulation in a way that would not prevent future savings. It will not, sorry, apply future savings, because they didn't want to influence the performance of the gaming performance, you know, the feeling of the gaming performance. So basically, they did not regulate themselves. So industry does not regulate themselves if not they are not compelled. So I'm going very quickly to the conclusions. Then we have question and answers. What can we do? Well, conclusions. Yeah, finally the conclusions. The conclusions. Yeah. And we want to aim at 13% gross energy saved in the world by 2030 if all countries apply the existing standards. So it's first thing first is to not to invent anything else, not to consider any other category, just apply the existing standards to all the countries in the world. We will just save almost 15%, which is 1/6 of the energy we use in the world, okay? Without any consequence for the economy, just making better economy. And we did not stop, and because this in 2016 figures say there's been a slowdown on energy efficiency at the world level, okay? Maybe because government focus more on renewable energies, or maybe because some economies are now exiting a long-standing economical down, and they no longer see energy efficiency as a priority. We don't know, but we have to remember that a penny saved is a penny earned. And you have to remember that nowadays, 68% of the global energy use is not covered by mandatory energy efficiency standards. And the growth of the energy efficiency policy is now, as you see in 2016, due mostly to existing measures and not to new measures. This is very bad. So let's harvest the low-hanging fruits, meaning the easy things. In developing countries, we should be starting from lightning and light technology. It's very important that MEPs available in the market applies as soon as possible. And just let's apply the best ones and copy-paste the legislation, okay? This will prevent the dumping of low-quality products from high-efficiency markets to low-requirement ones, like such as it was in the past the case of the countries between Europe and Asia that would just get the worst appliances from Europe, those who cannot be sold in Europe or in China. And then efficiency is the first fuel, as says the International Energy Agency. We have to promote and foster energy policies and efficiency policies in national strategies with the same priority that we give to renewable energy policies. They pay off sooner, they benefit the many, and they need smaller investment. Because the cleanest kilowatt hour is the one we do not consume. And then we have to keep rocking when the countries where we're rocking, like stimulate innovation research to keep improving efficiency, increase the stringency of the MEPs to keep lowering the performance and raising the average quality of the appliances in the market. And then make sure that the latest IT and the Internet of Things technology do not harm efficiency. On the contrary, they should be helping to achieve better efficiency. Like all these new technology that are connected to the cloud, and they say the cloud, the Internet will decide when your washing machine is deemed to start to turn on and do your laundry, or when your fridge can be idle, or just when your air conditioning is right, when is the right moment for your air conditioning or your heating to turn on, and blah blah blah. These third-party driven processes may hinder energy efficiency if not ruled, but they also can improve energy efficiency. So that's very important to keep an eye on this. So this here you have some of the links. You can find all the research and information and go deeper into the topics we've been talking today. And now I'm very happy to take your questions if you have any questions. Because we are reached 7 o'clock and it's pretty much time to stop. Okay. So any question? Was that clear? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it too, I don't know, serious? Hope not. Anything you did not understand, or you want me to?
Okay, Mr. David, first question.
Yes.
No, yes, no problem. I think it's okay for me. And I just have a small worry about the African situation. So you can see more decision and more policy has been drawn up from Europe and in the United States. And the policy now needs to be implemented also in Africa. But we cannot have a good energy efficiency if 54 states, which is in Africa, does not apply it. So I think we have also, I think we need to look for another strategies to implement it in African country. Even though government are not well involved, but I think now civil societies, NGOs can do better. So thank you for listening to my question.
Thank you. Actually, you are right. There's a need of a more general approach in African countries. But as I mentioned before, there are already some countries, I think we remember it's the Western African countries.
Western Africa.
Yeah, Western Africa is like 7 countries. They join up for
yes.
On the lighting issue. And then there are some other countries like Ethiopia and other South Africa and other countries that are taking measures on this. But it's not a coordinated action. It's not an action like a continental action. And indeed, there will be much to gain from African countries not to waste energy. Also because there's a lack of energy right now in the continent. So it's very important also not to become the dumping area of low performing products from Europe or US as it is now. And so African families should have the right to have the same quality products, same quality appliances as European or American or Asian ones. And but I think the strategy is to start from like India did, to start from the lighting, from the light bulbs, because light bulbs are a very small appliance that most family have, even maybe not all families in Africa, but I mean, most of the people have, especially in the cities, and everybody knows what a light bulb is. And they pay off very quickly because the cost of the light bulb is, the new light bulb, efficient one, is paid off very quickly in a year or so. And once you have a best case in one country, you can say, look, government, you see how it worked very well with the lighting. Why don't we do the same with televisions or water heaters or whatever is the appliances which is more used or more important in energy consumption in that country? So you start from small and you grow to the rest of the market. That was also the case, what happened in Europe. Lighting was the first thing to be taken off. As it proved very good, as a good idea, then it can be extended. And also lighting is a small amount of money. So not everybody, but most families can afford to make a small investment in a better lighting. Okay. Oh, especially if there are some financial schemes that you can actually pay. Maybe in some countries in Africa can be applied with, you can pay monthly, little by little with your telephone, with a telephone credit, for instance. This sort of schemes can be interested. So you can pay your LED lamp. And if the prices are as cheap as in China, we're talking of less than $1 for one light bulbs in LED lights. So it's reasonable even for Africa standards.
Okay, thank you very much for your good answer. Thank you very much. I think, yes, I think it's okay.
Any more questions? Please come forward.
Yeah. Are you getting me? I think
anyone
I think Mr. Mohammed is having connection trouble.
Yes, maybe Mr. Mohammed want to make a question?
So, any more questions?
Well, I write you down. I'll write you down in the chat my email, so you can write me in case you have more questions, and I'll do my best to come back to you with an answer as good as I can. Okay. So unfortunately, I have to rush now and go away. But thank you all for being here and listening to this small introduction. And I hope you can actually get going and do something as an NGO in your countries about this energy efficiency issue.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I think that's all about our webinars today, and we're going to upload the videos of this webinar. So thank you for your time, and thanks for our guest speakers. So see you.
Bye bye. 再见. Bye bye.
Okay, I think we're gonna see you later. Mm-hmm.